A New York City-based photographer, Corky Lee, has been documenting the city's Asian American communities for decades, and this week he prepares once again for a special reunion, turning his lens west to help document the contributions of Chinese Americans to building the infrastructure so critical to American prosperity. And of course, we are talking about the first transcontinental railroad. Corky Lee joins me now, and so does Don Lee, a community activist who loves to cook and who will be contributing to the reunion when both he and Corky go on this special trip to Utah. So let's talk first off, welcome to you both,
Thank you.
about this trip that you're going to take. Corky, how did it all come together? How did you get involved? It's been years since this has been a project of yours.
Well, I first read when I was in junior high school that the Chinese had built the railroad. I saw the photograph, and then I wondered how many Chinese, were actually working on the railroad. And to my dismay, I didn't see any Chinese.
This is a railroad picture of the completion of the railroad. It was taken in
1869.
Okay, and what did it show?
It showed a lot of non-Chinese, gathered in front of two locomotives. Stretched out were two individuals, one holding a champagne bottle and another person on the opposite side holding two beer bottles.
Okay. And what were you looking for as a junior high student?
I was looking for to see how many Chinese, built the railroad, because the history book said Chinese built the railroad. That's it.
Okay.
No other information.
Okay.
And I said, well, if they're in the photograph, then I can count how many Chinese were there. And to my dismay, there were no Chinese.
And this is where exactly? In Utah?
This is in 90 miles north of Salt Lake City, in a national park called Golden Spike National Historic Site.
And that's for the Golden Spike that was driven into the railroad as a symbol of the completion of it. So now let's fast forward to 2014. You took another photo with this group of, who are they?
Primarily Chinese Americans, and as well as other Asian Pacific Americans. There were Japanese in there, and in that photograph of 200 plus, there was 6 descendants of railroad workers, both Chinese and Japanese.
Okay, and that photo was a reenactment of the two engines coming together,
yes.
all the people that you see in the 1869 photo, but now it's with the
primarily
the descendants.
Chinese, yeah. Well, there was like only 6 descendants, but out of 205, but everyone else in there is pretty much Asian American, except for the individuals that operate the trains.
So they gather all together every year. Don, you're going on this trip to reenact the meals that these Chinese laborers would have eaten every single day that they were on the job. And what are those ingredients that they would have put in those meals?
Well, it's a pretty interesting mix of food that they brought with them. And, so it actually has condiments, protein, dry fish, seaweed, and, a whole variety of food.
So you had brought some examples into our studio and showed us in the first collection of food. What do we see? Yeah,
you're looking at dry pickled vegetables, dates, sugar, black bean sauce that's hidden there a little bit. So we represent the 5 classic Chinese tastes, right? Sweet, sour, sweet, salt, and bitterness. Okay, and you've learned some recipes. You're going to be cooking them on this trip that you take this coming Wednesday, right? Correct. Here's some of the proteins that they, some of the dry shrimp, fish, seaweed, which provide them with iodine, and monk beans, mushrooms, and of course mushrooms, and some dried flowers, actually. So it gives the workers, besides nourishment, a sense of home, nothing like comfort food, but it also there are and tea, this represent, tea and the bitterness. So these are the kind of stuff that really showcase keep them filled, and then also remember home. Okay. Well, on this particular day also, we're commemorating the 135th anniversary of the Chinese
Exclusion Act of 1882, which is a draconian piece of racist legislation, and the Chinese were the first group singled out by this country for non-entry. Okay, so a very poignant moment to be taking this trip. I wanted to thank both of you for coming in and sharing all of this with us today. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you. Thank you.
Good to be here.